Hey Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today for Spiegel Mom Scraps to share with you this sketch. This is the second sketch in our series this month, and this is the layout that I created based on that sketch. And if you are inclined to buy anything from the Spiegel Mom Scrap store, use the code Suzanna with a Z 15 and save yourself 15%. So there's the sketch, and I decided to pull out an oldie but a goodie, and I'm working with the Persimmon collection from Basic Gray. I'm so sad that they are no more. The sketch calls for a square photo and a bunch of circles that you can put a cross through. I decided that I wanted to use two pictures, and instead of one of the circles, I used that oval element there and counted that as one of the circles. I also added a ripped border down the edge of the right hand side. It just kind of grounded the page a little bit with all of those circles and added a nice finishing touch. So I mapped out where I wanted these circles to go and what sizes I was going to use by just putting the die cuts or the metal dies onto the page, and by doing that it enabled me to also figure out sort of the spacing of the layout. The sketch has everything shifted to the right hand side. However, because I used two pictures, my proportions were a little bit off because things were a little bit fatter per se. So I chose what papers I wanted to use, and I just ran the pattern papers with a metal die through the Big Shot. I could have done this on the Silhouette as well, but I like the instant ability to just run everything through quickly on my desk rather than having to go to my laptop and then over to the Silhouette, because they are not next to each other. They're not far, but it was just much easier to use the Big Shot, as well as I really like the crisp edges, the raised edges from using the Big Shot. I think there's a little something when you're die cutting that you don't get with the electronic die cut machines. So again, I'm just coordinating colors here. I know that oval looks funny with the circles, but because it's an oval nestled in a rectangle and I have the rectangles of the pictures, I felt that it tied it all together. And a few more circles in different sizes, so you can see where I used that oval instead of the circle to the bottom of the photo that's in the sketch there. And I found this other lighter paper, and I thought that the lighter paper would look better than that darker orange there, just for a little bit more balance through the page. Sorry for that piece of paper that's poking down from the top of the screen there. That's the sketch that I kept referring to as I was working. So there's that lighter, smaller circle, which just adds a little bit more balance, again, to the page and allows you to see the photos without them sort of blending into just a blob of mess. So I tried working with the pictures here because the way I have this set up here, there's an empty gap between that orange and the second photo, and I needed a way to close that off and not have that empty space in there. It was bothering me. The type A highlighted, bolded, underlined person in me just couldn't have that from a design perspective. So by overlapping the picture, I was able to get rid of that spot there. And I shifted this circle again to close the gap between the circle and that rectangle there, which sort of tied everything together a little bit better. So I want to find the alignment of where these circles are going to go and adhere them down so that I can go upstairs to the sewing machine and sew that cross that is called for in the sketch. Initially, I was going to, my thought had been when I started this layout was that instead of the cross, I was going to use fall leaves that overlapped the circles. But I really liked the gold thread through the circles with this particular collection. I just love the colors in this collection, and I wish I'd known that Basic Gray was going to go out of business and that I had bought a few more pages from this collection, because some of my favorite layouts come from this collection, and truly the colors are perfect to me for fall. So I am literally just adhering them for the placement, both in the sketch and what works well for this layout. And then I will take the photos off and go upstairs and stitch in the crosses with gold thread. Being very particular about the alignment of that. That particular paper has what looks like a grid on it. It's not a grid, it's flowers, but they're laid out in a grid format, and so I wanted to make sure that I was going to get the photo in such a place that it would look symmetrical. So you can see there the gold thread, the crosses. I also stitched down the side of that ripped border piece that I used to tie everything together. So that's where the photos are going to go. And now I need to figure out some embellishments. And I still have that extra circle. I thought it might look good up the top left there to sort of draw your eye throughout the page rather than have this heavy weight sitting on the right hand side. So I will play with that for a little bit there. And then get rid of it. So I thought these flowers, they're not flowers, they're feathers behind the picture would look nice, but I didn't like that. And so I just dig through there are ephemera die cuts. There is that sort of pocket pack, the blister pack that you can see on the left there, as well as the sticker sheet is what I have from this collection. So rather than using that orange circle, I layer a bunch of embellishments from the ephemera up the top left there, and then I'll use a sticker. You'll see that in a minute. I always forget that just because elements are whole doesn't mean that you can't cut it and use bits and pieces of it and layer it. It's one of the things that Christine Middlecamp used to do with her layouts that I loved, the way she was able to create so many layers from all of those different things and create such a different look. It was something that I learned from her, and I forget, because when you see things as a whole, it's hard to envision what it will look like as a bit. That leaf, the orange and blue leaf, is one of my favorite elements from this collection, and I've been saving it for something special, and I found my something special to use it on. So there's a partially cut sticker that I've layered things on to just create something that will define the edge of the page there. There's a little blue flower, and it has that same shape as the circle, so I thought it might be a fun continuation to put another circle in on the page, but I actually don't find a home for it just yet. And actually during the video you will not see me stick it on, but I do end up using that blue flower. I tried. You can see I tried. I really wanted to make that work. And I actually will. So that orange square circle that you saw, I'm going to put at the bottom of the page. When I was laying this out, I didn't realize the proportions were so heavily centered to the top, and I really wanted something to bring that weight down to the bottom a little bit. So I use half of that orange circle at the bottom, and then that blue flower looks perfectly next to it, just underneath the title, to sort of pull everything together. So I've committed to my bits, and now I'm going to adhere everything down. And unfortunately, I had to pause the video in order to get my sequins out, because I had not planned on which sequins mixes I was going to use. And when I re-videoed it, unfortunately, you cannot see me putting the sequins on. So in a minute, the video is going to cut away, and you will see that suddenly the sequins appeared. That was not intentional. I'm so sorry. I used 3 of the sequins mixes, the new ones from October. I used Puppy Dog Tails and Road Trips and Sunshine, and then I used one of the wood veneers, and I don't know the name of it, I'm sorry, but there are 3 mixes. I used the orange from the Puppy Dog Trails, I used the blue from the Road Trips one, and then the wood. Those were all the colors that were found in this collection from Basic Gray, and were just perfect on the layout. And I love how it just really, the circles complement the circles. So I had put the title up underneath those photos, and I moved it down below, and then you'll see where I've got that big white space down there. I thought of journaling there, but I knew I had that oval to journal in, so that's where that orange circle and then the blue flower come in and look just perfect. So that is me using the second sketch of this series. Be sure to join us next week as we add yet another sketch to this. If you go shopping at the store and use Suzanna 15, you'll get 15% off. If you don't subscribe, we'd love to have you join us. The close-ups are to follow. Enjoy, and thanks for stopping in today. Take care.